on 2nd of August 2021, and I'm here in Hillsborough Park Walled Garden, and it's absolutely stunning in here. Everything's looking lovely and healthy and flowering beautifully, so you can see with this lavender covered in bees and butterflies. Well, one butterfly anyway, and loads of bumblebees. Some regeneration work happening with the let's go down here. Lovely display of different hypericums here. St John's wort. They all have yellow flowers, kind of July time, that bees absolutely love. But once they finish flowering, you get these lovely different coloured berries on them. Absolutely fantastic. Look at the colour of that. That's just as good as the flowers. Absolutely stunning. And there's the work happening on, oh, some butterflies around. There's the work happening on the old stables for Age Concern UK. Made a new little pergola there. Here's the rose garden. But these roses are quite old. This could probably do with some maintenance. But in the herbaceous borders, it's lovely crocosmia and Verbena bonariensis, which usually attracts bees and butterflies. Look at the colour on that. Niphophia, red hot pokers, salvia, agapanthus. The white one there, I love that that blue and white one. Lovely, yeah. We are in the stone's throw distance from Sheffield Wednesday football ground, so that's an appropriate colour for here. Some sedums just about to come into flower. Be flowering kind of, well, within a few days if the weather warms up again. It's been a bit cool the past few days, but it's quite nice and warm today. Some poppies still in flower there. Got this lovely lovely honeysuckle, Lonicera. The purple of that, that's stunning. There's also some work going on there on the what used to be the kind of glass house with a, I don't know what we call it, not shed, but storage area on the other side. But yeah, we've got some heathers here. And then these I think are recently planted, massive hydrangeas. This is quite a shady area, north facing, so they'll do with a bit of, deal with some shade there. But then you've got another raised, where it gets a little bit more sunlight. You've got this kind of raised bed, rock garden area, again with some sedums there, dianthus. Yeah, that's like a firework. alliums. Look at that. Amazing. Some azaleas. Oxalis. Ajuga. Some hostas there where it is quite in deep shade. This is a lovely white cherry in spring. It's absolutely beautiful, little, quite a dwarf tree. It's just a massive blossom, lovely place to sit under there on a spring day. And then planted this bed with some chrysanthemums. And there's a hot and dry bed where the greenhouse is. And some more plants that like in this raised bed that like a bit of sun. Ooh, look at the colour of that. It's amazing. So yeah, there's so much to see in here. Of course, as usual, there's things that I do differently. Oh, look at that, we've got a lovely peacock butterfly on the buddleia there. I'm sure it'll come back. You know, there's things I would do differently. I think I've said before in other videos, I don't like to see one group of plants all planted together. I still like to see them, I like to see a variety of form and foliage and flower colour and whatever. So I don't like to see groups of just one plant. I understand the need for that in a botanical garden context, but in a garden that's mainly for aesthetics, for beauty, I like to see that variety of interest of form, foliage, colour, flower. This is a bit of a little sunken garden, Victorian style sunken garden. Nice little clematis there climbing up. A nice little mural on that shed there. And then we've got some veg here. Now, personally speaking, this used to be the old kitchen garden for Hillsborough Hall, which is and has been for many, many years, the Hillsborough Library. Look at the apples on this, fantastic. And so you got the stables there, and then this was obviously the kitchen garden that used to provide food. So even though it looks absolutely beautiful, all the flowers and everything, I would like to see more of this being given back to growing fruit and veg. And so I'm hoping that at some point there's a new glass house put against, a lean-to glass house against that wall, because it is south facing, to grow tomatoes and chilies and anything that, you know, that needs that extra heat, you can grow in there. And then of course the restaurant, in the cafe in the Age UK building, in the stables there, can then use the food from here. You know, so that's all about cutting down on food miles and, you know, local produce, etc. So yeah, so this is brilliant, but I'd like to see more of this in the rest of the garden. And I think a good place would actually be where the rose garden is at the moment, because the roses are quite old and quite sickly and they don't flower particularly well. So if you can actually bring some veg back to that part of the garden, I think that would be fantastic. Or alternatively, there are other beds that you could bring back to life. You've got some here that you can bring back to life. You could even maybe again, once this bedding is finished, you could maybe use this to grow. You've got a kind of sunken, very sheltered area here, so you could grow some sunken, some plants, some veg, fruit or veg in that sunken garden part there. Lots of butterflies around. And a beautiful big acer. This is a very kind of wildlifey area. Lots of insects buzzing around here. It's fantastic. But yeah, that looks good as a kind of veg area. It looks really got some fennel there. You got some, can't remember what that's called. Pineapple sage. Let's go into the dark. Look at that. They do look very healthy though, these hydrangeas. Yeah. See, the rose garden looks a little bit sparse. That eucalyptus is absolutely fantastic. Just take a look at that. Look at that. That's just, bark is so beautiful on that. Look how it's stripping off there. Beautiful tree. But yeah, so you can see how this is looking a little bit bare and a little bit kind of underutilized and I don't think these have seen any compost or manure put on them for many a year. And obviously, if you're going to have roses, you need to come in and keep deadheading them. And that's not to be critical of anybody who's in this garden, because they have volunteers here who do a fantastic job. Really good job. And I mean, there is an argument to keep this as some kind of flower area, because you know there's steps coming up from the Age Concern building actually into this kind of seating area. So what's better? Do you want some beautiful flowers, some roses, some other beautiful plants, or do you want a load of veg here for you to sit next to? Or maybe you can have a mixture. You know, there are options there. But my fundamental point is that I would just, that poppies are absolutely stunning. Look at that. Just beautiful. My point is that I think an old kitchen garden like this, if you're going to refurbish it, especially if you've got a cafe or a restaurant attached, is to bring back at least a certain percentage of the kitchen garden back to growing fruit and veg. And if you can do both, if you can grow fruit, veg and plants, flowers, herbaceous plants, shrubs, trees, etc., then fantastic. Let's just go around here. Right. So you can see where they've knocked a hole in this wall. And now obviously there's going to be some steps there to come up. You can see the steps there. And there's a ramp there. So it's going to be lovely in a year's time when all this is open and you can come up here. I'm sure there'll be some seats down there as well somewhere, but you can come up into the garden and sit here. So yeah, very, very impressive. The future looks very promising. So, bye for now.